We're gonna get a touch magical today, talking about your spell selection. Hello there everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire, here to continue on with the first edition Pathfinder Magus guide. Today we are going to start looking at your spell selection, beginning with 0 and first level spells. Normally I'd try to talk about second level spells as well, but time being what it is and always running out, it can't quite fit it all in, so things are going to be broken up just a little bit more today. But my oh my, do we have some things to consider because of this class's particular mechanics. Some spells are actually going to work better for you than they would, say, for the summoner, the wizard, or the sorcerer. So there's going to be a lot that's really worth considering. But before we get into all of that, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. Or if you've already gone on ahead and listed yourself on just such an absolutely incredible roster of legendary heroes, then go on down to hit the like button and share the video far and wide. But now we'll actually start talking about things here for you. So for your first, rather your 0 level spells, you gain access to all of the different cantrips. So you can kind of pick and choose and be really flexible with all of those. However, the ones to keep an eye out for are the same for any arcane spellcasting class that has them on their list. Read magic, detect magic. Read magic lets you decipher magic inscriptions on objects for 10 minutes per level and read at a rate of 1 page per minute. That's absolutely great for you to have. It's great for any spellcaster to make regular use of, as is detect magic, which detects all spells and magic items within 60 feet. Resistance will be great for early levels, or hell, even those moments where just in a pinch you might need a little bit of extra help. Target gains a +1 bonus on saving throws. Mage Hand lets you do telekinesis with a weight limit of up to 5 pounds, a very handy little tool. And Acid Splash reaches out from 25 feet plus 5 feet every 2 caster levels of range with an acid orb that deals 1d3 points of damage. Now, the fact that it's dealing acid damage is pretty fantastic because that's the least commonly resisted element type in the game. The fact that it's only 1d3 does kind of hurt, but for low levels, you're not really going to look at a whole lot of resistances, maybe not the best saves, and, that's actually going to be a reasonable amount of damage to most targets that you're going to find at this level. But moving on from where things really start to take off for you into first level spells. First we have Color Sprite. It's a classic. It's great for anybody to pick up that can do so. 15-foot cone effect has a number of effects with will saves negating. Targets that have 2 hit dice or less are rendered unconscious, then blinded and stunned for 2d4 rounds, then blinded and stunned for 1d4 rounds, then they are stunned for 1 round. That's a significant amount of time to have multiple targets out of the fight. Hell, even if you catch, say, 5 targets and 3 of them fall asleep or are rendered unconscious and have to go through this, that's only 2 targets for you to have to deal with. So this is going to be a massively useful spell right there, but it gets better. 3 to 4 hit dice, the targets are blinded and stunned for 1d4 rounds, or stunned for 1 round. And if they have 5 hit dice, they're stunned for just 1 round, but still, inflicting the stunned condition on a target is useful, even if for only 1 round. Now, after that, this spell's not really going to see a whole lot of use, but even up a couple of levels from now, 2 hit dice targets, 3, 5 hit dice targets, those will come up regularly enough that Color Sprite is going to be pretty useful for most of your early level adventuring career. Next, we have something that's going to be the meat and potatoes of this build for just about any Magus out there, the Shocking Grasp spell. Excuse me there. Standard action and melee touch attack to deal 1d6 electric damage per caster level, maxing out at 5d6. Gain a +3 on the attack if the target is wearing metal armor. And metal armor is going to be common enough that you're going to be able to count on that bonus pretty regularly. Now, 5d6 is an unfortunate amount of damage, but it is a first level spell. Good thing we have options like Intensify spell ready and available for us to boost that up to a nice solid 10d6 points of damage. And while electric damage does have a little bit more resistances or immunities than acid damage does, it's still not as common as fire or cold, so you're still going to be sitting pretty comfortably in a nice sweet spot to really get a good damage spike with this spell, pairing with a spell strike and spell combat. Next, we have the Grease spell. It's a great area control spell. Create a layer of grease over a 10-foot square within 25 feet plus 5 feet every 2 levels. Reflex saves to avoid falling. However, moving at half speed allows targets to make acrobatics checks. Failing requires a save, while failing by 5 is an auto fall. So a lot of targets are going to be vulnerable to this, even up into the mid-level, because targets in heavy armor typically don't have the best dexterity scores, and so they're going to be vulnerable to this. And even then, the heavy armor is also going to be inflicting penalties on any acrobatics checks that they might make. So this is going to be really great. Just bear in mind that you can put this spell in some pretty treacherous places. On a cliffside, on a wall, on top of a building. A target that's falling over can be, or is in unsure footing, can be knocked over pretty reasonably, can be made to fall prone pretty reasonably. So this can have a lot of really creative applications and can affect even targets that might otherwise have a good chance of saving against it if you can throw this down in the right place. Now, the next spell on the list here is one that is normally not the greatest on the wizard or sorcerer spell list, and that's True Strike. It's a standard action to grant yourself a plus 20 bonus to your next attack. Now, for wizards and sorcerers, not great. But for a Magus, who's meant to be in the thick of fighting and has, spell combat to be able to cast a spell before attacking to really boost up that okay attack bonus progression they have, this is a great thing to have going for you there, especially since you are going to be dealing more damage with a melee strike than a wizard typically will, most builds of wizard anyways. And the fact that the standard action and spell combat still allows you to have that full round of attacks. So again, True Strike pairs really nicely for you. The reason this isn't rated better is because, well, you're not really getting your damage out of it. You're not going to be able to throw on Shocking Grasp with this, unless you have some means of storing a spell in your weapon, freely and able to strike the target with it. So you're going to have to really weigh things out there. Is it going to be worth foregoing this significant attack bonus to deal that extra bit of damage, or is it going to be worth it to forego the damage to get this extra bit of attack bonus? It's going to really depend on the situation that you're in, but it's one worth considering for yourself. Now, some spells for you to avoid. Silent Image. Normally, this is a great spell, but this is a spell that you have to concentrate to maintain, and concentration is a standard action, and while you're doing this, you can't cast spells. So that's going to be a major hindrance for you. It's going to limit your movement, limit your ability to attack. So all in all, this one is probably not going to pair best for you. Maybe as a scroll, if you really need to have it, if this is available in such a thing, or just let another caster make use of this, because there's no reason at all why you can't be partnered up with a summoner, a wizard, etc., things like that. Also, Magic Weapon. Magic Weapon is terrible for you because it's redundant. Your arcane pool already lets you make your magic weapon your weapon magic already. Gosh, goodness, I'm tongue-tied tonight. Can't tell I've been swamped and busy. So, those are just some of the spells, but there's plenty more that are worth avoiding, such as Burning Hands. Burning Hands, it does fire damage, which is the most common resistance and elemental immunity type out there. It's very limited in its damage. Sure, it affects a broad swathe of squares, allowing you to affect multiple targets, but all in all, not great. It's also not a touch spell either, so you can't use it as part of arcane strike and spell combat. So that's another thing to consider there too. Most touch spells are actually going to work better for you. Even I believe it's corrosive touch. It does less damage than shocking grasp does, but the fact that it's a very rare elemental resistance means it's probably going to be worth at least considering having in your repertoire. More often than not, shocking grasp is going to see you through most of your fights, but every now and then you may come across an opponent who's prepared for you, who is prepared to have that fight with you and resist that damage that you're able to apply to your melee strikes. So having another option in your back pocket may not be a bad way to go, but that just gets into whatever particular situations you might be playing in. So again, it's all worth thinking about, it's all worth considering, and always remember that these guides are just guides. None of it's set in stone. Build your character the way you want them built. This is just meant to kind of give you an idea of how things can mesh together in very interesting ways, unique and distinct from other classes in particular. So, what do you think? Go on down to the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Did you like today's video? Did you dislike it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below either way, and what other spells you might recommend for your fellow possible Magus out there. Something. But either way, let me know your thoughts down below. We'll engage in discussion, and if you've made it this far, even past me getting tongue-tied and stumbling through on my, I think, 7th take now, please go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. But with all that said, thank you all so very much for your time. Good gaming to you all, and you all have yourselves a good night.